I remember lying on the floor of my room in Hawaii that I had just rented, staring at the ceiling and wondering what the hell I was supposed to do next. The relationship was gone, the money had vanished, and whatever version of myself I'd been performing for the last few years that had moved to Hawaii and that I thought I was becoming just walked out the door with all of it. I wasn't exactly depressed yet, but I felt completely empty inside. And in that emptiness, I kept asking the same question that everyone asks when their world falls apart or seems to be. And you've probably asked yourself at some point, what the hell's my purpose? What am I doing? If you've seen my other videos, you already know I'm a coach trained in NLP and neurotrauma therapy, so I won't go into that. But what I will go into is I was going down that journey. I went down right to help myself first. And that's when I discovered how I wanted to help other people, which is kind of where this video idea came from. But what I discovered when I looked into it was, and it's a game changer, honestly, the reason that you can't find your purpose isn't because it doesn't exist. It's because something inside of you, your own neurology, is protecting you from seeing it. Your brain built this cage to keep you safe. And now that cage is the exact thing keeping you stuck. And the block, I want you to know, isn't some character flaw that you need to fix. And this is really important for you to know. You're not broken in any way. It's just this cage that your own brain built to keep you safe from getting hurt. And another thing everyone seems to just get wrong, I guess, is the idea that you should follow your passion. When the truth is that passion follows purpose, not the other way around. So waiting for that lightning bolt of inspiration to come out of nowhere is exactly how years of your life disappear. So in this video, I just want to show you the 4 neurological cages that keep you trapped and 5-minute exercise to start breaking out of that loop today. So first, let's just talk about the 4 cages. Before I name the patterns that we're going to discuss, I just want you to understand what they actually are in your daily life. What do they look like? Again, I just want to stress, these aren't personality flaws. You're not flawed. These aren't something you should feel guilty about. Many people are working with these, okay? They're more your survival adaptations that your brain built at some point to, again, protect you from pain. So they worked for you once upon a time. I mean, our brains, again, we're living in modern times. Our brains haven't caught up. We're still living 10,000 years ago, right? So they build all these cages. And maybe they worked for you when you were a kid. But the problem is that they stay with you and they still run the show. And now they are the very things that are standing in the way of you and the life you actually want, right? They're right in between that. So the first one I want to talk about is the perfectionism cage. I know you know perfectionism. I know you've at least seen it and you know of it. This is where really impossible standards get fused directly to your self-worth until anything less than perfect feels like proof that you aren't enough. So think about you get a 95 on a test, still an A, but you go home at night and you can't sleep because of the 2 questions you got wrong, right? And the test for this is really simple. It's if you made a mistake today, even big or small, how long would you carry that heavy feeling wherever it sits in your body with you? Like, is it in your chest, wherever it sits in your body? How long would you carry that? And if that feeling lingers for a day or 2 or 3, you're definitely in it, at least to some extent. And the main symptom you will notice is constant hesitation. That's what it causes. So the person in this cage, they won't move until every single detail is just right, which actually means that they barely move at all. So I remember low grade dread when I was starting out blogging, right? Very early in my journey, putting myself out there. I'd done all the work. I tested it on people. People liked it, but putting myself out there, it felt like every paragraph, every video when I was starting the YouTube stuff, everything was this high stakes performance review instead of just a quick note, right? Like everything felt so heavy. All right, I figure I can share this slide with you. I'll have a link to this in the show notes. This actually has about 12 or 13 slides, so some pretty good information on this whole video. So if you want to download it, it's yours. Anyway, going to the next one, which is the people-pleasing cage. That's next on the list. And this one is pretty sneaky, right? Someone stuck in this cage has their internal compass pointed entirely towards other people, anyone else. So they're constantly reading every room and adjusting themselves in real time. So to test this, ask yourself what you would do this week if you knew for a fact that nobody would ever find out. If your answer shifts dramatically and you suddenly have these wants that you would never say out loud, you're living your life for an audience. The symptom is it's not usually super obvious. It's not obvious anger. It's just this quiet emptiness that really builds up slowly because the person everyone approves of isn't actually the real you, right? You're putting on a mask. So moment on the floor in Hawaii and self-sabotage right when things are getting good, it's a classic sign of this loop. If you can look back and see that, you're in this loop. And the fourth one is the not enough cage. And I would argue this one kind of sits underneath the other three in some fashion, but I wanted to call it out anyway because it's important. It's this unexamined belief that's usually so old that you don't even hear it anymore. That's the thing. It's silent. It's a secret. It whispers, right? The other ones scream a little bit once you know they're there. This one just whispers and sits underneath. I mean, it tells you you're fundamentally not smart enough or worthy enough to succeed. Maybe a specific thing, maybe everywhere. And you can test for this by watching what a person apologizes for in a normal situation. You can test for this by watching what a person in any normal conversation, right? Do they apologize for having basic needs, for taking up space in a room with other people, or for simply being heard? So like when I was in Thailand and running my business into the ground, for lack of a better term, this cage was at least a part of the reason that I kept playing small and undercharging for all my work. And then 2020 arrived and it really finished. With the cage, though, had already started. That's something I realized. I can't blame 2020. I can't blame COVID. I can't blame all that. I was already starting to build the cage because of my past stuff. And this just kind of finalized it. So these four patterns, they don't just block your sense of purpose. They actually burn through years of your life. Most people don't even realize they're trapped in one of these cages or multiple until they end up flat on the floor somewhere, staring at the ceiling like I was in Hawaii and wondering where the hell the time went and what went wrong. So now that you can finally see the cage for what it is, here's how you start opening the door. And the best part is that you can begin the process seriously in the next 5 minutes. It's super easy to begin. So let's talk about the uncaged exercise. So before we jump into this though, I want to give you a quick reframe because it changes a lot, okay? Purpose, it's not this hidden treasure that you have to go out and find, which I know I thought it was, and I know a lot of people think it is. It's more something you uncover that was already there in the first place. It's buried. It's been sitting right underneath all these cages, which are really like kind of your survival patterns, right? The perfectionism, the people pleasing, those old trauma loops that you can't seem to shake. And even the not enoughness that we talked about. So what you're about to do isn't a discovery process or discovery session so much, but instead it's a clearing process to help you remove all this static, all this stuff that's covering up what's really your true self, kind of buried. So you can finally hear your own voice again. So we're going to walk through 3 steps in just 5 minutes. And I want you to do this right now. I mean, pause this video if you would. Otherwise, right after the video, instead of putting it off for later for a time that may not come because we're all so busy, right? So step 1 is unfreeze. Only takes about 60 seconds to complete, really. Maybe a couple of minutes. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths just to get in the right mindset. But then you find one spot in your body, just one, where you're holding on to tension right now. Because the truth is we hold on to tension in all kinds of areas of our body. Any of these cages, they could sit in many different places. And I know most people don't realize it, but I know you've felt pains and stuff in certain areas of your body before. Trauma doesn't just sit in your head, right? It sits in various areas of your body too. Once you pick a spot, breathe into it slowly through your nose. Hold it for 2 or 3 counts and let it out through your mouth. All right, pick that spot. You'll need to do that 3 or 4 times because the body is actually, again, where the cage lives. It's where the trauma sits. The truth is that your cage isn't just a mental pattern. It doesn't just sit in your head. It's a physical contraction that you've been carrying around for years. The moment you soften your body, the grip on your mind starts to loosen. So you can't just think your way out of a nervous system response all the time, and that's part of the problem. You have to breathe your way out first. So step 2 is redirect. Step 2 is redirect. And this is where you get into the real work, right? I want you to ask yourself out loud, it's a safe space. And I want you to actually say these words. What am I actually afraid will happen if I leave this cage? If you struggle with perfectionism, for example, your fear might be that people will see you as a fraud. I sat there for a while. While people pleasing, the fear might be ending up completely alone. Let that fear land for a second, all right? And then just let it sit. And then ask yourself, if that fear is based on something that's true right now, or is it just a story that you told yourself from a long time ago, right? And I also like to ask myself, is this an exaggeration? Isn't it probably true that the opposite is also possible? And you start to think your way out of it a little bit, right? When I was in Thailand and my business again collapsed while my relationship ended and my visa was running out, I truly believed that my fear was about the future. Everything that I was doing, I thought it was about the future. It wasn't until later that I realized it was just my past talking to me in a present tense voice. That happens a lot. So step 3 is root. And you have 2 minutes for this one. So this will be about your 5 or 6 minutes, right? Ask yourself who you would be today if that old story wasn't running in the background of your mind all the time. So don't try to analyze the answer. Make it quick, right? Instead, I just want you to actually picture yourself. Hold that image for 30 seconds. Notice if you feel a relief, a quiet energy, maybe a sense of lightness in your chest, maybe a little bit of a shift. This feeling isn't just wishful thinking. It's real contact with a person who is buried under their old patterns. Honestly, when I coached one of my very first clients who shifted kind of right in front of me a little bit, I wasn't thinking about purpose or chasing passion at all. I was just doing something that felt aligned, that felt like something I wanted to do, that I could help this person. And the aliveness showed up after I took that action. And that's the sequence that I got backwards, that a lot of people get backwards, because alignment always has to come first, and then passion follows. I've done this with a handful of people and in rooms and everything, and people usually tell me that they feel oddly honest after they finish this, even just 5 to 7 minutes. Feels like some fog is cleared a little bit. And while it isn't a permanent cure, that first taste of freedom changes everything, right? It gets the ball rolling. It's that first step. And then you can continue to repeat this exercise as well. So, I would do this. It's 5 minutes, right? Do it every day or every other day and just keep it going. Keep finding these cages and keep breaking them down. So in conclusion, anyway, almost done yapping away in this video. Sorry, I have a tendency to always go off track and make these longer than they should be. I'll try to tighten them up a little bit, but I always have stories. So in conclusion, anyway, I just want to reiterate, your purpose was never actually lost. It was just caged up. And now you finally know what that cage looks like, how it feels, and how to start opening the door, breaking it apart. I want you to run through these 3 steps today and pay attention to which cage felt the loudest. I want you to run through these 3 steps today and pay attention to really which cage felt the loudest to you. That specific fear is your starting point. And it's not something that you need to fix today or anything. It is just a place where to begin. And once you identify it, once you have the knowledge of it, that starts to change everything going forward. So if you want to go deeper into some of these cages, how to get out, my other videos go more in depth in other areas, but very similar areas. So hey, if you want to go deeper into some of these other cages or some other topics that are very similar to these or lead right into them, my other videos go more in depth and help break down how you can get rid of some of these limiting beliefs, start changing your mindset, and start to rewire your belief system for good so your future looks excellent. So drop a comment. Let me know which cage hit closest to home for you. And let me know in the comments, what do you want me to go more in depth in? What am I missing in my videos? What would you like to hear about? Happy to make a video for you. Hope you have a great day.